Hello and welcome back to the Go for Two podcast. I'm Liam, your host, and we are here for our Week 13 review pod. Maybe it's a half-hearted review, half-hearted look at all the divisions across the NFL, because yes, both our teams lost in embarrassing fashion last week, so we are trying our best to avoid talking about those particular games. And the man joining me, as always, everyone's favourite Eagles fan, is of course Patrick. How you doing, mate?
Good. The best thing is, right, about recording it on a Tuesday, who wants to hear about last week's Thanksgiving and Black Friday games? They're long gone now, aren't they? It's closer to this week. It's closer to this week's games, thankfully.
I don't remember what happened, so who knows? I can't even remember it. Unfortunate week for us last week, but a good week for Patrick on our mini predictions. We only did 4 games in the end because I couldn't record on Friday. So Patrick won the week 3-2, and it was, of course, the Bears that got him the point against his own Eagles. We both got the Packers game right, we both got the Bengals game right, and we both got the Chiefs game wrong, which is always exciting. But you're only 5 points behind, mate. Plenty of games to go, so you're still in the hunt, as they say. You're in that graphic. You're at the bottom. You're in that 10th spot at the moment, maybe 9th spot, but you're in the hunt for the playoffs.
Take that. Do you know what I mean? After probably a poor performance, take being in the hunt. I love, by the way, that people keep, on my Twitter feed, people keep complaining that the Browns are showing up still in the hunt because they can win their division. I just love that.
Also, I've seen one of the TV companies has changed the name, haven't they? It's not called In the Hunt anymore. It's, what is it? It's it's Lurking. It says Lurking.
That's too woke for me, mate.
One of the TV companies, I can't remember which one now, or one of the, like, it's not ESPN, but ESPN, CBS, someone. They keep doing it, and every time it happens, someone on my Twitter says lurking, and it's always the Browns that are lurking, and it makes me laugh. It's like, of course, the Browns are lurking. But yeah, that is a bit woke. But we are going to talk about teams that are in the hunt. We're going to go through all the divisions across the NFL. We will talk about the result from week 13 in and amongst that, but every game will be different. We'll kind of see as we go how much we talk about the game versus how much we talk about where that team sits in the playoffs. I should really start with the AFC South as someone who's picked a certain team to win it, but in my order, I'm going for the Thanksgiving game, unfortunately for us, but I'm going for the NFC North, and I'm going for the Green Bay Packers, obviously, who did defeat the Lions on Thanksgiving. They now have a 91% chance to win the division. They're 8-3-1. The Bears, who won on Black Friday against your team, 9-3. They're currently I think they're the 1 seed in the NFC as well. They have a 77% chance to win the division. The Lions, who obviously lost to the Packers, 7-5, 30% chance to win the division, and then the Vikings, 4-8, no chance. But yeah, the Packers get a big win over the Lions. The Bears get a big win over the Eagles. It feels like with a 30% chance for the Lions to make the playoffs, we're in a bit of a tricky situation for them, mate. And I know they're not winning the division at the moment, but the Packers and Bears have set themselves apart really at the moment from Detroit and Minnesota in this division.
What can you say about Detroit apart from it's now they have to win Thursday night against Dallas? I thought they got beat on both sides of the ball last Thursday night. I think it's a disappointing way. It's twice the Packers have done that to them this season. Obviously, did it heavy in week 1. Last week, they just got beat on both sides of the ball. It was hard then with Amon-Ra, St. Brown going out basically at the start of the game. That made it even harder that when Goff got any time at all, it was just, he's down to bare bones, apart from kind of Jahmyr Gibbs, who's just having to do an incredible heavy lifting. So it's do or die for the Lions, right, this week. And if they lose, it's curtains really for the NFC wild card. There's still a lot of divisions up for grabs, really, we'll come to. But do or die for the Lions. I don't know how you feel. It feels to me like Green Bay are going to win the division.
Yeah, those numbers I read out actually earlier were to make the playoffs. Packers 91% to make the playoffs. In terms of the division, it's 60% Packers. It does feel like the Packers to win the division is the most likely outcome. The Bears have got a slightly tougher schedule. But yeah, they're still with a good chance. Feels like they're 2 playoff teams, right? Feels like there's no way either of those teams are now not going to make the playoffs. You don't think then the Cowboys would go up? I don't want to talk about that division. Actually, we'll talk about that in a bit because I want to talk about the 49ers and the Cowboys. But yeah, the Lions have got an important game. Where is it this week? Is it in Dallas?
Let me just bring that up quickly. It is in Detroit. So
okay, yeah, must win game to take them to 8-5, keep you in the hunt rather than going to 7-6. What did you make of that game in particular? No, spend ages on it, but Felt like, to me, the Lions' defense has been pretty good all season. Did not play very well in that game. Jordan Love was exceptional. But I think the defense is a slight concern, how it looks against elite competition, even against, like, the Chiefs game, the Ravens game, this game. And then if there's any kind of injury to that offense, just feels like there's not enough depth there for them to score enough points. But what did you make of that? I know we mentioned Amon-Ra earlier, but in general, the rest of the game, what did you make?
I think it was kind that the game looked so close at the end, no touchdown, but it was close at half time. I just never felt it was that close, to be honest with you. I thought, Love, like you said, was exceptional. That was probably his best game of the season, kind of eye test wise. I thought it was really good. Green Bay just like an all-round better football team, and that would worry me as a Detroit fan that they're not getting their trips to the places they thought they were going to get, coming in the last 3 seasons. To me, it looks like there's a great chance of them missing the playoffs. And it's a shame in general, but they've been caught up and surpassed by the Packers, definitely, and it looks like the Bears as well. I mean, what a game that is this week, by the way. 9:30 our time. It's Packers-Bears in Lambeau Field.
Yeah, we've got Packers-Bears, and then going on to our next division as well, we've also got the other North teams. The Ravens and Steelers are playing in that, which we'll talk about in a minute. Any thoughts on the Bears? Obviously playing really well, going to make the playoffs. Looks like, 77% chance. Could still win the division, even though me and you both favour the Packers. You obviously watched all that game, whereas I certainly was having a couple of days off football after Thanksgiving. So what did you make of the Bears' performance rather than, your teams?
Yeah. One thing, right, there's 2 things for the Chicago offense. I'm not sure how great the Bears defense is, which could be a worry going into the playoffs. They played great playoff football against the Eagles. They ran for like nearly 300 yards. That's probably not sustainable yardage-wise and average yards-wise. However, the rushing attack was just phenomenal. The problem was Caleb was actually really bad. He was, if you'd have told me as an Eagles fan, the stat line before the game of 17, 36, 154, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, I'd be like, lovely. That sounds like an Eagles win to me. The run game was just so good, but it would worry me about Caleb going forward then into the playoffs. They've got huge games left in the regular season, and then obviously every single playoff game is gigantic. So that would be a bit of a red flag for me, but you got to ride the wave of Ben Johnson, right? I feel like you can't hate the locker room speeches are great. I mean, I love kind of the run game in football. This is the time to be doing it. It's the time to be controlling the clock in games. So it can't be anything but positive, but Caleb does feel a red flag.
Yeah, the locker room, good, better, best, never let a rest speech is just elite every week. And when he rips his shirt off as well, we're just all hyped up for that. So he's doing a good job. But Caleb's not playing very well. The passing game in general is not playing well. I wouldn't say the wide receivers are getting that open as well. Obviously, Caleb's very good at avoiding sacks, but I read that hilarious stat out to you probably 2 weeks ago that he's actually bottom in the league at when he avoids a sack. What happens next? You think that's normally a good thing, like, oh my God, he's got out of a sack. But with him, he's like last in the league for then EPA added after that. So he does something stupid every time afterwards, which is not what you want. But they've got the run game going. They've got the right play caller there. But the passing game, I think it is more on Caleb than anyone else. But it's just not consistent. So they'll need to improve that. Because the offensive line, by the way, playing okay, actually. They got a new left tackle that played 2 weeks ago. Wright's playing pretty well at right tackle. Joe Tooney's playing incredibly well at guard, as he always does. So the line's okay. The weapons on paper are good, but it's just the passing offense hasn't been good and hasn't been consistent. So we'll need to see if they can improve that. On to the other North division then. Like most AFC divisions, this division is much worse than the NFC North. The NFC is completely killing the AFC in terms of quality this year, but we've still got a fun race. So the Ravens currently lead the division, even though they're 6-6. The Steelers are also 6-6. The Bengals are down there at 4-8, and the Browns are 3-9 in the hunt / lurking, as we previously discussed. In terms of making the playoffs and the division, they're all identical numbers because there's no way these teams. I actually not quite sure I agree with that because I do feel like they could still make a wild card. But if I feel like my team can make a wild card, one of these teams can still make a wild card. But the odds are the same for the playoff predictor. So 64% for the Ravens, 30% for the Steelers, and then 6% for the Bengals. The Bengals had a very good performance against the Ravens. Ravens defense looked a little bit early season Ravens, which is a red flag. And Lamar continues to look hurt. And then the Steelers decided to play Aaron Rodgers on Sunday with a broken hand, and it didn't look good. The top 2 teams in this division, mate, are not looking good, but one of them is going to win the division and have a home playoff game. It should still be the Ravens, but this one feels a bit unpredictable to me.
I got something to say, right? I told you off air. I did that little predictor I found where I just I go on the website and you chose just the winners and losers of each game for the rest of the season, and then it simulates it at the end and it all pops out. And the biggest, it took me a while to just go through and have a look what I thought, and I couldn't believe I actually had the Bengals winning the division, and that's not 8 games they won, and that won them the division with 8 and 9. I can't remember what the other records were, but I just think, God, there is actually a chance. I'm not a gambler, as we know, as we spoke over the years, but 6% chance is kind of goes with the meme. So you're saying there is a chance, really. I feel like the Steelers and Ravens, I mean, the thing is about them, Steelers and Ravens have to play each other twice. Somebody has to win those games, right? So if one team can win both games, pretty much seals whatever's going to happen in that division. If they split it, then we're going to probably see some fun.
The Bengals are in.
And then the Bengals could be in, yeah. Yeah, the caveat is they have to split the games there.
Yeah.
I just feel like the Ravens, they got Lamar back. They won 5 in a row. That has got to be the worst 5-game winning streak I can remember in the modern NFL, because they didn't look convincing at all, did they? And that they got whooped on Thanksgiving by Cincinnati. That was a systematic beatdown on offense and defense by Burrows. We don't know how healthy he is, but he was back and he was piecing up the Ravens defense at times. So it's just, I'm incredibly worried about both of those teams, and one of them's going to get a 4 seed at the end of the day.
Yeah, and Lamar doesn't look healthy. Was it 4 turnovers in that game? Was it?
Yeah, Lamar's not healthy. He is nowhere near 100%.
No, he's not. He's popping up the injury report with a different injury every week. But yeah, I don't know. I think whoever wins this division is probably going to lose in the first round of the playoffs. I don't know.
It's most likely they're going to play Buffalo as well, the way it kind of sorts out.
Okay. Well, yeah, that's what I mean. It's a result for Buffalo. Although Lamar Josh is Lamar Josh, but still feels a tricky place for him to be. But yeah, big game this week. I think it's 6 p.m. on Sunday. Steelers-Ravens. If the Steelers can win that, they give themselves a chance to, they're like, okay, we'll at least split at worst. That's kind of the goal. But Aaron Rodgers is also hurt. So both of these teams are just all over the place. What do you think is going to happen? Do you think the Ravens are going to hold on? Or do you think, obviously, you predicted the Bengals in your thing earlier, so you're sticking with your...
Shock, but, I feel like Baltimore overall have got, like, the talent should be there. It doesn't look right, but maybe they have a hard schedule. Baltimore go this week, Steelers, then they go at Cincinnati, then they got the Patriots, at Green Bay, and then end with the Steelers. That is hard. They might lose all 5. I can't see them winning all 5, but there's only a couple of wins in there. It could very well be a losing record wins the division. You'd probably have to favour Baltimore because you'd go overall. They're better than Pittsburgh talent-wise, but it just doesn't feel right, does it? I don't know whether John Harbaugh's going to kind of continue for much longer. There's been a few rumblings I've seen.
Yeah, there has. Yeah, you're right. Of it as well is that he's good at picking coordinators, but he's involved with the defense, and the defense is the unit that just keeps nosediving. Do you know what I mean? One week they're great, one week they're not great. They start every season poor, no matter who's calling the plays. So I think it's the fact he's so involved with that. And I know this doesn't really matter to most fans, but he traditionally is a special teams coach as well. And they were like bottom 3rd again in special teams. It's just like there's only so much time, even if you're good and outsiders know you're good, that local fans are going to just keep accepting it, because I'll just blame him for everything eventually, even if it's not his fault. So yeah, he's under a lot of pressure. Both of those legends, Tomlin and Harbaugh, are arguably under a lot of pressure.
There was by a Tomlin chance. Did you see that?
There was. Yeah,
unbelievable. Yeah.
Imagine that 2 years ago when we were knee deep halfway through this pod. We never would have believed that was going to happen. We were there being like, how the hell is he getting to the playoffs for this team? And then 2 years later, it's like, yeah, fans have lost faith. But in theory, all 4 coaches in this division could be different next year, which is crazy. That won't happen, but yeah, a high chance that it could be three of them. But yeah, I'm still going to lean with the Ravens just because I just do not trust the Steelers to win games, if I'm honest, anymore with the injuries. I think when they were fully healthy, Rodgers was doing enough, but anytime Mason Rudolph takes a snap, it's an absolute disaster. So I'll go for the Ravens. And if my team could have a 5 game-winning record as ugly as the Ravens, I'll take that for the rest of the season. So there we go. Let's stick with the AFC then. This division... I've just been loving talking about this division. Because it's my route into the playoffs. It is the AFC South.
Yeah.
And the Jags are the Jags the leaders now?
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, the Jags are the leaders, which is absolutely mental to say. And they have an 83% chance to make the playoffs, 42% chance to win the division. The Colts are your second in the division, 68% chance to make the playoffs, 34% to win the division, and the Texans are third. With a 60% chance to make the playoffs, 24% chance to win the division. That goes to below 15% if they lose this week. It's a pretty big game for both teams between the Chiefs and Texans this week. And then the Titans are obviously out of it. But this division, mate, has been up and down all year. I think you predicted the Texans and then the Colts to finish second and then Jags third. I predicted the Jags to finish first, Texans second, Colts third. We're actually both in with both of our scenarios, still in with a chance. Before we talk about the individual games, this division, I think, is just going to be what keeps everyone entertained for the rest of the year. I genuinely believe every week one of these teams will be in a game where we're like, what the hell is happening? Good and bad.
Yeah, and do you know what, right? Compared with, we've just talked about the AFC North, where those kind of massive franchises are all battling for the title. This is the same battle, but feel like much better football teams. Traditionally, not as good as a Steelers or a Ravens, but actually these look like three pretty well-rounded football teams, to be honest. I'm coming a bit more back on Jacksonville now, to be honest. A 3-win streak, they look pretty good. Handled Tennessee. Tennessee is on everyone's schedule that's going for the playoffs, including Kansas City, by the way. And I thought the Jags did a good job because Tennessee have been quite frisky in the last month or so, if you look at the points differential, but the Jags handled them well and just got out of there with a win, which we have to do. But it just feels like they're leading the Colts on common game results. This is the kind of stuff that I'm here for. I just love this race. And it's so heavily tied to Kansas City. It's unbelievable. Because even at the weekend, I saw loads of tweets from Chiefs fans in the UK, not you, that were saying that like didn't really realise that Indianapolis's results feel like they're most pertinent to the Chiefs going forward.
I keep saying that since that game when we chatted about it. They're the team. I think it was them and the Chargers, but the Chargers won the game so handily with the injuries. I think it's I think you need one of the Colts, like you need the Colts and Texans or whatever to not make it, and then the Chiefs to make it. That's the way in. And I think the Colts have got a hard schedule, right? Jaguars have got easiest of this group. Colts have got the hardest of the group. Texans, after the Chiefs game, are quite middle of the league. Obviously, they play each other. I feel like this. We spoke about this like 2 weeks ago, but the last game of the season's a fun one. I can't remember if it's Colts, Texans, or Jags.
Yeah, it's
somewhat
Colts,
fun. But
it's at Houston as well. I mean, the Colts have got the Jags twice, the Texans, the Seahawks, and the 49ers. So good luck, because you're going to earn your playoff spot if you make it.
Yeah, they're the team that I need to. I need to get out. And the Texans, another strong defensive performance. Top team, I think. If they win this week, I think they're going to make the playoffs if they win this week. Regardless of if they win the division or not, I think they make the playoffs if they win this week. But yeah, they keep getting better and better. But they've not got an easy schedule. They all play each other. So if they lose this week and then lose that game to the Colts, it's going to be difficult for them to make the playoffs. So this is just a super fun division. I'm going to stick with my preseason prediction, because if you look how easy the schedule is, I think the Jags, as a fan that has to stay optimistic, I think the Colts are the team my team has to catch. So I can't have them to win the division, or else my team's not going to make it. And I think the Jags is just such an easy schedule on paper. I think it goes Jags and then Texans in second place. It's just whether they make the playoffs or if they don't make the playoffs. But yeah, I'm going to go with the Jags. Schedule's there for them, but they're not playing like a playoff team.
The only thing that you can't have is the Colts knock off the Jags twice, and then that could really mean serious trouble, to be honest. So it was, yeah. We'll see that. So this Sunday, 6:00 at Jacksonville Colts. So that is it's a great week this week.
I can get my Trevor Lawrence jersey on that I don't own and find one from eBay or something. That'd be cheap. Any prediction from you? I'm going to go with Jags for bias reasons and for schedule reasons. Are you? I know you love this.
No, I think they can split with the Colts. They can beat the Jets. I think you're just about there on the division, to be honest. So, and they got Tennessee again, so I think they can do that.
They do lose bad games, but they got to win that game for sure. By the way, we haven't mentioned about it. Daniel Jones got broken, whichever bone in his leg is the non-weight bone. Yeah, that's mental that he's going to be playing with that. That might say why one of the reasons why he has struggled, and since that Chiefs game just didn't look quite right. But that might be why.
Yeah, he's. I mean, what a warrior, because he still played okay on Sunday against. It was a close, low-scoring defensive battle. I mean, it didn't help that Sauce Gardner is going to be out now, did it? And that trade looks a little bit iffy now, to be honest with you. He's got a little calf strain or whatever, which is obviously
becoming... Achilles there. I thought it was
Achilles. Yeah, I know. I think he did at first as well. But so they kind of got away with that. But it makes the trade look a little bit iffy if you don't make the... Well, I mean, it's a lot iffy if you don't make the playoffs, isn't it? But, yeah, what a warrior, Daniel Jones.
Yeah, what a warrior.
Jonathan Taylor, by the way, is getting bottled up now, which is a big worry. This is the time last year where kind of Saquon was breaking out and having these huge games. So comparing those two seasons is kind of need some breakout games, don't they?
Yeah, 100%. Hey, Steve Spagnuolo showed everyone the blueprint to shut him down. Shame he can't shut a slant down to a wide receiver. Over to the NFC West then. We'll quickly run through this one because there's not much to say here now with the Cardinals completely falling off. We did say, by the way, pre-season that we didn't think the Cardinals were going to be that good, and we might be proved right on that. They're 3-9 now. I know the injuries haven't been ideal, but the Rams are 9-3, winning the division at the moment. Bad loss this week. Seahawks 9-3, second the division because they lost to the Rams. 49ers obviously played one more game, so they've got a worse win record in terms of percent, but they're third with 9-4. Now, to make the playoffs, we've got 97%, 95, and 91.
Yeah.
So I know the Lions keep getting spoken about, and so did the Cowboys. The odds show you that it's not the 49ers they're going to catch. They're going to have to catch a team in their own division if they're in the North. It just doesn't show you that. So I don't know how much time we want to spend on this, but Rams are still heavily favored over 55% to win the division. But I feel like these three teams are going to be playoff teams, and they deserve to be playoff teams, and they're playing like three of the 5 or 6 best teams in the NFC for me at the moment. If you look at how the 49ers have coped with so many injuries. Any chance they could fall away, or are you with me that these three are in?
No, I think these three are in. If there was a fall, maybe Seattle. Can't see it, though, to be honest. All on 9 wins. Probably only need 2 more to be satisfied. Detroit and Dallas, like we said, they're going to have to go through the division, it looks like. Detroit could knock off 5 in a row. They'd have to beat the Cowboys and the Rams in successive weeks and get the wild card. It's looking unlikely. However, we've got to say something here that did the Carolina Panthers give the blueprint to how to beat the Rams and just let them have the ball 3 times in the second half? They could not get off the field, LA, because that running attack in Carolina with Hubbard and Rico Dowdle absolutely battered them all game. The Rams' 3 possessions in the second half was punt, touchdown, fumble that ended the game. So it was just, that's like shortening the game. They only had 25 minutes of possession, the Rams. So the Panthers did an amazing job in kind of keeping that away there. So I think that was interesting how the game looks close on paper. And of course, it was a close game in the score, but not seeing the Rams get beat by that. They obviously lost to the Eagles earlier in the season and the 49ers. Neither game looked like that, to be honest.
No, agreed. Yeah, it wasn't a good performance. And obviously they spoke about not taking them lightly. And you kind of got the opposite scenario where Seattle go against a Minnesota team, Darnold back at his old team, and they just absolutely kill them, take care of business with the worst pick 6 I've ever seen.
That was a beauty.
That is the worst from Brosnan I've ever seen. But yeah, the Seahawks took care of business and the Rams didn't. I think that has been an issue with the Rams in the past, that they do lose some of these games where normally it's because McVay gets too run happy and the game kind of drifts away. Here it's because they couldn't stop the run, and then the game was just so short that they didn't leave themselves enough chances to score touchdowns. But yeah, I'm not too worried yet, but it's definitely something for us to monitor as we get towards the playoff time.
Because as well, by the way, in that game, the Rams had 1 penalty for 5 yards, and Carolina had 7 for 70. It was just the turnover battle was won, and then the time of possession was won. Just something I think that's interesting, that as a playoff blueprint there.
Yeah, and obviously Stafford had that bad fumble as well, didn't he? So
yeah,
Carolina can run the ball. Let's stick with them actually. Go towards the NFC South because it's still unlikely if you look at simulators. I'm not sure simulators are quite reading how these two teams are playing though. Obviously, they're still done on data. But yeah, the Panthers are 7-6. The Buccaneers are 7-5. Panthers are on a bye this week. Buccaneers get the Saints, so they could be 8-5, which they should be 8-5, and then it'll probably be a bit more reflective. But at the moment, either of these two teams are going to get in as a wild card if you look at their NFC records. So they're going to have to win the division. Buccaneers are 79% likely. Panthers are 21%. That's a big gap. I think they play each other twice as well. If the Panthers beat them twice, that's gonna flip that number. Now, will they beat them twice? I'm not sure. The Panthers are the weirdest team in the NFL. They have awful losses, have incredible wins. Every week is different. Their last 5 games, if you just Google their last 5 results, are absolutely mad. I think this race could be relatively fun. I do want the Buccaneers in, but I think the Panthers' best is not as good as the Bucs' best, but I think at least their running game is a consistent unit. With the Bucs, I'm not sure what consistent unit I'm getting at the moment, but the Panthers keep running the ball well. And if the Buccaneers lose to the Saints, in 2 weeks' time, we're in for a hell of a game.
That was a classic get out of there and win game from Tampa Bay. Maybe you could say that was their best win of the season, just getting out from a terrible Arizona team and winning it. But man, I can't. Right, I understand that the Bucs probably still favoured, but it feels like such a big gap. There's records the same. Well, obviously Carolina played one more game, but it's like they're playing each other twice. I think maybe the variance of Bryce Young, because I don't know if you saw that stat from the Rams game, but on 1st and 2nd down, Bryce Young had a negative total EPA. And then on 3rd and 4th down, he had an EPA of 16. So it's kind of, they roll the dice on 3rd and 4th down. And when they hit the jackpot, it was like, yeah, they can make those big plays. So for me, I think the division is massively up for grabs, to be honest. And both teams play the Saints, who maybe it's a good time to play the Saints. I'm not sure. Tyler Shough really struggled against Miami at times. But they're still keeping games pretty close with him in the lineup. He was quite poor against Atlanta the last week, but I feel like the Saints are going to enjoy playing both teams in that race. I certainly don't think it's over, to be honest with you.
No, when you play each other twice, it's such a big part of like we spoke about the North, it's such a big part of the conundrum. So, yeah, I'm with you. I think when the Panthers are bad, they're just awful. So I think they're very inconsistent, but it wouldn't surprise me if they keep this interesting right down to the wire. And I think that, simulators have probably been a bit too optimistic on the Bucs. And we'll see how they play this week against the Saints. Let's flash over to the AFC East, because similar to the West in the NFC, this one's kind of done. Patriots are winning the division at the moment, 11-2. Big performance last night. Drake May throwing deep balls down the field all over the place like he always does. Over 99% chance to make the playoffs. Basically done. There's 60% chance to get a first round bye. 92% chance to win the division. Bills are only 8% chance to win the division because obviously the Patriots are so far ahead and they've got the tiebreaker. But the Bills are 92% to make the playoffs.
Yeah.
Is that high, or is that because of the obviously tiebreakers and the schedule? Do you think what's making that number so high? Because that is quite high for a team that's only 1.5 games up on the Texans.
It has to be the tiebreakers and the conference record there somewhere, because the Bills have got a tricky schedule. They have, of course, got the Browns and the Jets on there, and maybe you can mark those as 2 wins and you get to 10. Then they got the Bengals, who are now all of a sudden looking at my predictor and thinking, well, if he thinks we could make it, maybe we can make it. And then they're at New England and they play the Eagles just after Christmas, and who knows who's going to need in that game. So they definitely, I think, will make it. However, in the 90s, it's very high. There's 3 losses there that could. You're going to need 11 to get in the AFC playoffs. So it's most likely you're going to need 11. So it's high, but I mean, what can you say about New England, though? I still can't believe they're 11-2, by the way. It just feels crazy, but they look a pretty well-rounded football team, don't they?
Yeah, I've seen a lot of people tweeting as well. They've probably got the best head coach quarterback combo in this division, and maybe one of the best in the entire NFL now. we've always loved Vrabel. You know, me and you, everyone has. Drake May's playing like a top 5 guy now. I think he's top 5 in EPA, top 5 in QBR, top 5 in success rate. He's just playing that good, very similar to the CJ Stroud season, except for, to be honest, the offense is better. The rest of the offense is playing better and more organized. CJ Stroud was kind of doing it all on his own, whereas Drake May's in a good scheme as well. So, yeah. I don't know.
By the way, they're on the bye this week. Then they come back at home to Buffalo. They win that game. He's going to win the MVP because Stafford blew it this week. So Drake May needs to have one of those games where he kind of blows it and then they lose something. But yeah, Drake May, the MVP. Doesn't feel like it to me, but he's playing great.
We could give the MVP to the quarterback that's number 1 in all those stats I just mentioned, but his team is 6-6. And we might talk about them in a minute. It's been a great season for Vrabel and the Patriots. Coach of the year, surely. That must be odds on for him to be Coach of the Year now.
I mean, it's not something that I look at, is it, the odds? But I would be shocked if how is it not Mike Vrabel? You know, it couldn't be. Feels like it couldn't be anyone else. Sean Payton, I guess.
Chuck him in the bin. Drake May for MVP, Vrabel Coach of the Year. First round exit to the Chiefs in round 1. That sounds quite nice.
Well, because that game, let's be honest, is highly likely because the Patriots, if they get the bye, they'll play the lowest seed left, which feels likeliest to be Kansas City.
Yeah, or probably
Buffalo.
Or probably the Buffalo or the Texans. Yeah, three hard teams. Yeah. Well, hopefully 3 hard teams. We'll see. Let's go on to my team then. Let's break the ice on the awful Thanksgiving performance. Or, well, kind of awful. Well, one side of the ball anyway. AFC West, the Broncos win that 1-point game, which made primetime fun again. We had some bad Sunday and Monday games, but that game was actually quite fun. They lead the division 10-2. 99% chance to make the playoffs, 86% chance to win the division. So it's basically done. Chargers are 8-4. They've only got 61% chance to make the playoffs because they do play other teams in this race, including the Chiefs. And they've only got a 12% chance to win the division, obviously. Chiefs, 37% chance to make the playoffs, 2% chance to win the division. That ain't happening. But if they win this week, it goes up to 56% chance to make the playoffs. So with one win, because they've got a tiebreaker then against one of the teams like that they would have with the Colts, that kind of improves things. We do talk about the Chiefs a lot, but go where you want with those 3 teams. What's the interesting storyline or the thing you're thinking about the most between those 3 teams, I guess?
Come on, the most interesting storyline is no one wants the Chiefs to make the playoffs, but they have to. They're going to have to most likely knock off 5 games. Because you are beating the Texans, you are beating the Chargers in that. I think there's 2 gimmies, which really helps because Titans, we know they've only won 1 game. The Raiders the last week. The Raiders might be the worst team, even though they beat the Titans
I think they might be the worst team.
Week 6. So to me, that's nice. You got 2 gimmies. The week before that, at home to Denver. Denver should have wrapped up the division, but they're going to want the 1 seed. So that is definitely, it's the Texans, the Chargers, and the Broncos games. For me, have to win them all. Otherwise, it could very well be curtains. But on the flip side to that, that means the Chargers are going to have to win some really good football games, including against the Eagles, which I'm not sure how good the Eagles are. They're playing at Dallas. They're also playing Houston. And then luckily, they've got Denver in the last week of the season. Probably Denver are going to be wrapping that up then for the season, aren't they, for the playoffs?
Yeah. For the Chiefs, if they win 5 games, they're 98.5% likely to make the playoffs.
Yeah.
Because they have to play 2 of the teams. And if you look at the schedule of those 2 teams, also the Texans and Chargers play each other, so only one of those 2 teams can win.
Exactly.
So they are 98% chance. It basically requires, it's not actually a tie. I think it's almost a split in nearly every game where the 2 teams play each other. And then they basically need it to be Bills, Jags, and Chargers beat the Chiefs. That's the only way the Chiefs don't make it if they win all 5. So they do have to win all 5. I think the hardest game the Chiefs have is the game on Sunday. That is for me 100% the game. And if they lose that, bring the tank out. Let's get a top 10 pick. But but yeah, we'll see. Going back to the Chargers, when is the Eagles game? Is that prime time?
It's Monday Night Football.
If they lose to the Eagles and then lose to the Chiefs, they go from 60-odd%, 61, down to 35.
Yeah.
I actually don't think, if you look at the betting odds anyway, if the favourites in all the other games win, which they won't, but if they did, they actually would go into the Cowboys game as the 8th seed in that scenario, which isn't ideal when you go Cowboys, Texans, Broncos. So for the Chargers, if they beat the Chiefs, they're almost in at that point if they beat the Chiefs. But they cannot really lose. They really don't want to lose this game to the Eagles. Like, they don't want to have to go into the Chiefs and Texans games winning both. I think they'll want to try and beat the Eagles quite badly. But yeah, we'll see. I'm not really sure to make of them. I thought they'd struggle this week, and they turn out and played really well. So they're a very hard team for me to second guess.
Herbert obviously has had his surgery, hasn't he? The
left hand,
non-throwing hand. But up in the air for the Eagles game, I saw. You don't want Trey Lance as a kind of backup going into Monday Night Football. But this does mirror, by the way, not wanting to talk about the Eagles yet, this does mirror a situation when the Eagles collapsed in the 2023 season, where the Eagles had to play Drew Lock and the Seahawks on a random Monday night near the end of the season, and Drew Lock won. And so,
Trey Lance ain't winning. My mental health cannot take Trey Lance winning that game. They have to lose.
I can't promise you anything anymore about Philadelphia.
I need the Chargers Chiefs to be going into that game 7-6 versus. They must have a bye week, have they? 8-5. Yeah, I just need that to happen. Yeah. Any thoughts on? We know the Broncos are going to win the division. Do you have any prediction? I guess, is it the Chiefs to somehow make it in?
I think Kansas City will make it. Going to be the 6th or 7th seed, and I think we're going to get Kansas City at Denver in the first round of the playoffs. And if Denver lost that game, I'm going to tell you now, they would not be very.
I know, shut up about it. Yeah, I'm desperate. They got to make the playoffs. This is the weakest AFC playoffs since we've been doing the podcast.
Yeah, by a long way.
So I feel like if you're wasting this season, that's not a good place to be in. I don't think, if you're the Chiefs. I know, obviously, that's a bloody rich coming from someone who's watched their team playing so many Super Bowls, and just shouldn't really matter. But this is not the year to miss, really. This is the chance to get to a Super Bowl when you're not maybe that good, if you're in the AFC.
And this is also, when I was thinking about it the other day when the Eagles got blasted by the Bears, I was like, this is the season where you're looking across from Bo Nix in the Super Bowl, maybe. It's just ridiculous, and you'd be over the moon. So it's just one of those seasons.
Yeah, and I talk about him too much on this pod and every other pod I go on, but when your quarterback is leading in all those stats that I as a nerd care about, and you're 6-6, and you get all the tweets that you see every week, they're like, the Chiefs are actually better than they were last year, and you're just like, they got to win some games. They got to win. Yeah. We just got to win some bloody games. So we'll see. Season could be over on Sunday, and then I might be retiring. Patrick and Lee, our resident Chargers fan, might be doing every pod together, and I've just time out to the draft. But we'll see. Of course, we're going to end on the Super Bowl champions division, who somehow got dog walked by the Bears. AJ Brown looked terrible 1 minute, looked incredible the next minute. But this isn't really that big of a division to talk about, because the Eagles have still got 94% chance to make the playoffs, 90% chance to win the division. It's kind of what seed are they going to be, and what team are they going to play in the first round at home, and then can they turn it on in the playoffs? And the Cowboys get a huge win against the Chiefs. Their season was basically dead if they don't. They have to now go and beat the Lions again to keep the season alive, but they've got 23% chance to make the playoffs, small 10% chance to win the division. What's the story in this division? Is it, can the Eagles turn it around and seed, or is it, can the Cowboys make a late run? This feels a bit more of a kind of set it and forget it division to me, personally.
Yeah, luckily, I think if Dallas could get a game back on the schedule, I would be quite worried. The fact that the Eagles have the Raiders at home, which I just said, even playing the way that they have been in the last couple of weeks, Philadelphia will win that game. You're adding another game on. There's 2 against Washington. You get a split there. The division's already over before you even talk about the Chargers and the Bills games. It's unfortunate for Dallas. I obviously, as a rival, don't feel that sorry for them. However, the play on offense has been pretty exceptional at times, so they'll regret. Like I said the other week, they will really regret some of the bad games that they lost, and they weren't unlucky in losing them. They were beaten handily in a couple of the games, so it's a shame for them. Looking at the Eagles, it's chaos in Eagles media at the moment.
The OC just got his house egged, didn't he?
Yeah, he got his house egged. It's never that serious, is it? I know it's only an egg, but seriously, an egg leads to a brick next time or whatever. But he's not getting fired. I'm going to tell you a man who might get fired, and that's Nick Sirianni. Is a man. They did it with Doug when he won the Super Bowl. The problem is that Sirianni we've got form of a collapse after winning the Super Bowl with an incredibly talented team. And a lot of people are now seem to be questioning what he actually does for the team. And because when it's going bad, that's who you look at, isn't it? So it's just something interesting to watch. At Chargers, I'd be confident if it was Trey Lance. However, if it's not Trey Lance, I don't know what Philadelphia Eagles team you're going to get to help your team make the wild card. To be honest, it's there's a lot of bad play from a lot of great players. Jalen Carter, by the way, who I think is one of the best defensive players in the league, has been dialing it in for the last month. That is like a real lazy play. But it's just, all around feels tricky. Do you know Eagles didn't get one snap this week from their rookie class of this year, which to me feels impossible. Not even Giard Campbell, who is not injured, didn't get one snap.
That's not doing wonders for my Howie's the best GM in the NFL stance I always die on every year. Yeah, that's not great. AJ Brown, obviously, there's always drama surrounding him still.
Yeah, and Saquon, there's a bit of drama there. All of a sudden, the offensive line's not looking very good, and there's been a lot of Jalen Hurts talk.
By the way, like Jalen Hurts, by the way. I never really know if they like Jalen Hurts or not. I know you like Jalen Hurts.
Split, I think, between when it goes bad, they always think, I wish we had a pocket passer who might just go off for 350 and just stand there slinging the ball down all day and fit some into some tight windows for once, So it's like, interesting team to watch, especially if you don't like the Eagles. This doesn't feel like a team that's going to win many playoff games right now. They've got 5 weeks to fix that.
Well, I'm an Eagles fan for 2 games the rest of the way. Pure Eagles fans. Stay up, watch them beat the Chargers. Beat the Bills, please. But yeah, you're right. Going back to the other team, though, the Cowboys. Offense is really good. Defense still up and down, but the defensive line since Quinn Williams has come in looks really good. And I know they conceded 28 points, so that's not really good by NFL standards. But they had 3 or 4 drives in the middle of the game on Thanksgiving where they stood up because of the defensive line. Not really any other reason, but the defensive line were just really good. But yeah, they needed one more win at this stage, or to be an AFC team to make the playoffs. Neither of those things are going to happen.
I feel like their season is on the line Thursday at Detroit. Feels too big of a game for a Thursday night football for me late in the season.
You say that every Thursday, though.
I do. The Cardinals game.
Yeah, it's Falcons Bucks next week, so you can enjoy that game. Cool. That's it for our Week 13 review. That really was a state of the NFL playoffs and where we think some of these teams go from here. We got some good predictions from early in the season that could still come true here with Packers division wins, Jags, Texans make the playoffs for me. I think you had the Colts and Texans maybe making it. So yeah, we'll see. But we had some good predictions. This week, there's 3 or 4 massive games for us to talk about when we get to our preview. I think the preview is going to come out on Friday, so that means we won't be previewing the Thursday game. We've got Steelers Ravens, which is a huge game. Colts Jags, which is a huge game. Bengals Bills is not that huge for playoff implications, but it's Joe Burrow versus Josh Allen, so that's always going to be a fun game. Bears, Packers, and Texans Chiefs. That's a good slate for.
That's as good as it gets for playoff implications, isn't it? That's
100%. Can we quickly pick the spread of this game?
Yeah, because of course we will know the fate of the Cowboys and the Lions on Friday, really, won't we, when we speak?
Yeah, because whoever loses is probably out of it, aren't they? Well,
yeah.
Cowboys are definitely out of it. Let's have a look then. So we have Cowboys at the Lions. Lions favored by 3 points. Where are you going?
Dallas. I'm going Dallas on the road.
I'm going Dallas as well.
Yeah, I think Dallas is going to go in and win that game. I think the Eagles are going to need to pick up a couple of wins to secure the division. Going Dallas.
Yeah, I think they're going to win. Well, I think they're going to cover the spread, so they're +3, same as you. But I'm with you. I actually think they're going to win the game. And then, make life a little bit interesting. There you go.
I was going to say, that's your boy Dan Campbell done for the playoffs, most likely.
Your boy. Cool. Well, we'll see what happens on Thursday night. We'll talk about that game at the start of Friday's episode before we preview the rest of week 14. Crunch time in the playoffs. You can go follow us at Go42Pod on Twitter/X. You can follow Patrick as well at Mugs NFL to get any of your NFL merch. We hope everyone's enjoyed their first couple of days of the week. Enjoy the rest of it, and we will speak to you guys soon.
Yeah, I'll speak to you on Friday.